Today we're going to be talking about Chapter 1, Why Was Imperialism a Significant Force for Late 19th Century Europe? Economic and political motives for imperial expansion. So during this time, it was all about finding and exploiting new trading opportunities. European nations wanted to increase their wealth through trade. This means that they will limit the cost of imports and increase the values of exports. A key word is mercantilism, which means the economic policy based on the belief that there was only a limited amount of wealth in the world. However, belief in mercantilism declined because overseas possessions and protecting trade routes was expensive and often led to wars. Britain had to give up territorial possession of North America, only keeping Canada during expensive wars. During this time, also new economic theories emerged, such as nations' wealth should be judged by its ability to produce goods and services instead of gold and silver. Due to these economic theories and other factors, government-sponsored imperial expansion started declining. Soon, everyone was brought into a period of industrialization. The Industrial Revolution caused European industries to expand rapidly. This means that there was a mass production of goods, so people needed new sources of raw materials. A key word is entrepreneurs, and these are people who invest their money in business ventures. So Britain was actually one of the first countries to undergo industrialization. At first, they had really high success, but this soon decreased as other powers such as Germany and France also started practicing industrialization and emerged as world powers. The Long Depression. The Long Depression was a period of price deflation from 1873 to 1896. Price deflation just means falling prices because of a drop in demand. So this means that the production of goods was outstripping demand. Due to this, businessmen had to lower prices, which led to declining wages and job losses. Competition for raw materials. So European nations needed new sources of raw materials like cotton, copper, and rubber. These materials were mainly found in Africa and Asia. Growth of nationalism. The European map was completely settled. Only war could change this, but countries wanted to avoid this. Nationalism means the belonging to a nation and supporting its interests above other nations. Britain also adopted the two-power standard in the Naval Defense Act in 1889. Imperialism as social policy. The emergence of a large working class that demanded social, economic, and political reform. Governments portrayed overseas possessions as beneficial to everyone. Strategic control of key regions. To improve trade routes to India, Britain created a port in southern Africa. The Egyptian government was unstable, so Britain took over the administration of Egypt. This example of power might have been a motive for other European nations to seek overseas possessions. So people were already thinking about gaining overseas possessions, but especially this case, where Britain was able to easily take over the Egyptian government, made other nations want to seek overseas possessions. New imperialism. New imperialism was a period of imperialism from 1871 to 1914. What was different about this new imperialism from old imperialism was that it focused on Africa and Asia, maintained peaceful relations through treaties like the Treaty of Berlin from 1885, and new countries sought imperial expansion like USA and Japan. The factors enabling new imperialism were medical advancements because Africa had dangerous diseases which were soon cured because of new French medicine, and technological advancements such as new methods of producing iron and steel, telegraph networks, and weapons. The theory of racial superiority. So at this time, the European government started opposing slavery, but people still believed that white people were racially superior to other races. These cases of racism were also seen, such as when Britain tried to justify taking over Africa as improving the lives of local people, but in reality, it was all to benefit themselves because they believed it was their right to take over the African territory. The nature and purpose of the scramble for Africa. The scramble for Africa was a rush by European nations to take control of African territory. In 1870, only 10% of Africa was under control by European nations, and in the 1900s, 90% was under control. Britain. So Britain realized the economic and trading benefits, and they took possession of most of southern and East Africa by the end of the 19th century. Britain had 30% of Africa. France focused more on the northwest and west of the continent. The French moved inland to search for raw materials for France's output. Belgium and Portugal. So Belgium claimed the Congo Basin due to financial advantages from Congo's raw rubber, and Portugal extended claims to Angola and Mozambique. Germany entered the race way later due to wanting to avoid rivalry and keep alliances. They took colonies that were worth less than they gave to get them, so their territory was basically pointless. The impact of European imperialism on Africa and the local people. The benefits of this was that they provided education for natives, developed states with governmental systems, there was new systems of transport and communication, cleaner water and sanitation systems, and efficient methods of farming. However, the drawbacks were that many boundaries were drawn when Africa was split, and this was all to fit the needs of the Europeans, disregarding natives' opinions completely. African chiefs or kings were also killed when they tried to resist the attempts of the Europeans were at the top of the hierarchy and Africans on the bottom. African cultures were often undermined. Africans lost jobs and farmland, exploitation of African resources, and overall, there was just an insane amount of inhumanity. Britain's overseas expansion. So Britain's empire was seen as full of pride, prestige, and power due to the amount of land they owned. To gain popular support for imperialism throughout the whole country, they did this through compulsory state education and also through medias. These medias and education reinforced the idea of racial supremacy and made native people look like savages. France's overseas expansion. The government tried to gain public support of imperialism by their state education, and they also try to show patriotism through their state education. Patriotism means the love for and pride in your country. Germany. The government sought to gain public support of imperialism and grow nationalism. Their main publicity was that they brought Christianity to the local people of Africa. Opposition to imperialism. So it is unclear what popular opinion was in the European nations regarding imperialism. Some people were more against imperialism, such as religious leaders, because they thought that it was morally wrong. Racism means a belief in the superiority of one race over another based on prejudice and leading discrimination. So this was it for chapter 1.1. I hope you enjoyed. Bye!